A young Iranian woman has been arrested after choosing to protest Iran's hijab laws by wearing her underwear out in public. Reports say that she's been placed in a mental institution, but it's likely that she will never be seen again. Meanwhile, here in the United States, women are complaining about their oppression, saying this election is going to bring them into Handmaid's Tale and that they're being stripped of their rights. With that all being said, let's talk about what real oppression looks like.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.
Guys, before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe. Yes, today we're going to be talking about an extremely courageous young woman out of Iran who decided to protest hijab laws by wearing her underwear out in public. Let's watch the video.
سفیده رفته اونجا دهن سرویس بهتری زاویه رو داره محبول سفیده آیزاده اونجا بهتری زاویه رو داره تکرش هم خوبه ها
موجی باورم نمیشه پنجره ها رو باز کنیم
Now, there's slightly conflicting information in some of the reporting regarding this story. We don't even know who this woman is. She has never been identified, and if I have to guess, she probably will never be identified. But CBS News states that she's been harassed inside Tehran's prestigious Islamic Azad University by members of the besieged paramilitary force who ripped her headscarf and clothes, according to reports by several news outlets. Now, the New York Post writes that this unidentified student was protesting security forces who had ripped her clothing earlier while confronting her for not wearing a headscarf, which Iranian law demands for all women in public. The New York Post goes on to say that a university rep said that campus security intervened and handed the individual over to law enforcement authorities. But online student groups are claiming that the woman was also assaulted during her arrest by plainclothes security forces, leaving her bleeding heavily after her head was struck, possibly against a pillar or the door of the car. Quote, bloodstains from the student were reportedly seen on the car's tires. Now, according to Iran International, she was arrested, then admitted to a mental hospital because she was experiencing severe psychological distress before the incident, apparently. Now, if I had to predict what's going to happen with this story, we will likely never see this young Iranian woman again. She is probably not even alive now, and we don't even know who she is. She's only being reported on as the woman, which is so indicative of what these oppressive cultures do to women. And we can run this whole mental illness angle on her to cover up the oppression that's actually taking place here, but I think we all know at the end of the day what's going on. And we've heard stories like this before, specifically out of Iran, like Mahsa Amini, who was killed for not following hijab laws. This led to many protests, hundreds of women killed, thousands arrested, and all because they wanted to protest the idea that they should have to cover their hair in public. And Iran is not the only nation that is oppressing women in a way that is completely unimaginable to women living here in the United States. The Taliban just months ago decided to ban the sound of women singing and reading in public. Other new rules instated involve making it mandatory for women to veil their body at all times in public, and that a face covering is essential to avoid temptation and tempting others. Clothing should not be thin, tight, or short. Women are also obligated to cover themselves in front of non-Muslim males and females to avoid being corrupted. A woman's voice is deemed intimate, so should not be heard singing, reciting, or reading aloud in public. It is forbidden for women to look at men they are not related to by blood or marriage, and vice versa. According to a ministry spokesperson, this is going to be a great help in the promotion of virtue and the elimination of vice. And there's so much more that these women are facing. We're talking about honor killings, forced arranged marriages, often including minors, floggings, stonings, female genital mutilation. The list goes on, which is going to bring me to my next point, something that really gets me going. And it's the audacity of American women to cosplay being oppressed. And when I say cosplay, I mean literally cosplay. I'm going to show you a photo of a woman dressing up like she's in Handmaid's Tale to go to a ballot box and vote. This is happening in Asheville, North Carolina, and somebody said, "I love this person with all my heart." It has 87,000 likes on it. Here's a political cartoon of women showing up to their polling station in this similar Handmaid's Tale outfit and being able to relinquish themselves of it by voting. They can now wear their pantsuits and knee-high boots and tight-fit black dresses. Or we can watch this Kamala Harris ad from Julia Roberts where she talks about women being oppressed and not having a right to choose.
Your turn, honey.
in the one place in America where women still have a right to choose. You can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walls. Vote Common Good is responsible for the contents of this ad.
Oh, goodness gracious. The amount of tone-deaf political brain rot I just witnessed is just unimaginable, almost as unimaginable as facing the oppression that real women are facing in these countries that we've just referenced. That's what oppression looks like. That's what not having a right to choose looks like. If you are an American woman, especially one listening right now, you have every right to choose in the world. And if we're going to use the abortion angle, which is seemingly the only oppression point that women can pull these days in regard to their oppression here in the United States, in 99.9% of cases, you had every right to choose not to get pregnant in the first place. The woman, which is what we'll have to refer to her as because we do not know her name that we spoke about at the beginning of this video, had no choice. In fact, she's probably dead right now because her final message to the world was attempting to take that choice back for herself. And if she is alive, she's now an unidentified nobody that is floating through the ether on social media who is locked up in a mental institution because she lives in a nation that deems her mentally ill for wanting to show herself to the world. Here in the United States, we're doing slut walks. Women are walking around in their underwear on any given day. Many of them are posting photos of themselves in their underwear or naked online or having sex and gaining money from doing so. These two things are not the same. You know on this channel that I'm one to call out the cultural appropriation Karens who are constantly accusing people of appropriating things and wanting them to apologize. But in this case, American women are actually appropriating the oppression that other women around the world are facing. And that's a line that we need to talk about. But by all means, keep cosplaying your own oppression. You have every right to depict your own version of reality, but I'm gonna give you a reality check. The very fact that you're showing up to a polling location in the first place and voting means you have more rights than a lot of these women. And even the ones who can vote are likely never gonna have enough voice or power to vote out the regime that they are constantly living under. And it's almost like a lot of women in America can't even see it. They are so enamored by their own imaginary oppression that they are blind to the actual oppression that is taking place right as they live and breathe. And where we as American women actually live in a nation where we can vocalize, literally vocalize. Our voices are not banned. We can talk about the issues we're facing and we can push for change. These women decide to focus on what? Abortion? They're not focusing on the literal redefinition of what it means to be a woman. They're not focusing on the rewrite of Title IX that allows men to be in female spaces. They're not focusing on the young women who are being brutalized and murdered here in this country at the hands of illegal immigrants who are invading through our southern border. The Laken Rileys, the Jocelyn Nungarys. We got another story yesterday of a 5-year-old raped in Long Island by an illegal migrant. And in the name of fighting oppression, they're actually advocating that we vote for a leader who is going to take women backwards. So on today's video, I urge everybody to think about their ideas of empowerment and oppression. And this is not to say that if somebody is struggling more so than you, then you have no struggles whatsoever. It's just to apply a little bit of perspective to the things that we're talking about here in the United States, and to really get a bird's eye view of just how oppressed American women actually are in comparison to some of the stories I've told you about today. Because it costs these women everything to show their hair, their skin, to sing, to read, to speak, to protest. It costs American women nothing. Well, actually, I guess it costs you whatever it is you paid to get your Handmaid's Tale costume, which is apparently $29.99 on Amazon. But guys, those are just my thoughts on this subject matter. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, if you disagree with anything I stated in this video, duke it out, but do so respectfully. We encourage healthy debate on this channel. And if you like this video, like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a video for you guys, which is every day. And shout out to every single woman who is fighting true oppression, who is using their voice, singing, taking off their hijab, standing out in public in their underwear in a nation where they don't have the right to. Bye, guys.
Yeah, you better.